Hey, Ecom Masters, welcome to the show. My name is Mike Weiss, Chief Community Officer at Dropified, and as a thank you for tuning in to the e-commerce mastery show, we've put together a special podcast-only e-commerce training just for you. Now, in it, you're going to learn the ins and outs of how to set up your own brand of products where you can literally put your own labels, brands, logos, and messaging over top of top-selling, in-demand, high-quality, high-profit products that are exclusive to supplements, CBD, skincare, and pet products. And here's the key: no minimum order quantities, no upfront inventory costs. And I'm going to show you how to do this in literally minutes. Now, guys, we refined these principles over the course of 5 years with working with over 100,000 of our own e-compreneur customers just like you. So to get immediate 100% free access, all you got to do is go to dropified.com/podcast-special, or you can just click the link below and you're going to learn exactly how we do this in just minutes. Thank you so much for being part of the Dropified family and enjoy the show. Welcome to e-commerce mastery, guys. I'm so excited to chat with our guest today. He is co-founder of Marketplace Ops and private label Amazon seller expert. He has created and sold over 300 private label products, reaching $1 million per month, less than 4 years after starting. And he literally helps thousands and thousands and thousands of people per month actually achieve very similar goals. And when he's not mentoring others, he's speaking at conferences, podcasts like this one, summits all around the world. I want to introduce you to the one, the only Fernando Cruz. Dude, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. We have such a killer show prepared for our folks today, and it's just such a privilege having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm awesome, especially after that intro. Thanks so much, Mike. Yeah, I feel amazing right now. I wish I could just have a recording of this, and I'm just gonna listen to it every day as I wake up. That's awesome.
Well, you know what? I'll give you the nice sleep mode of it, so that way you can just go to bed, and I'll put a whisper volume control, so that way it doesn't wake you up.
Perfect. Yeah, I need that.
Dude, this is super exciting, guys. We have a lot that we're going to cover today. Again, in true fashion, before we dive in, here's a breakdown of exactly what we're going to cover. So first things first, we're going to hear more of Fernando's story, how he came to find his success with Amazon, as well as what other ventures that he's currently working on. Then we're going to talk about something a little bit different that we've ever talked about in other episodes here as it pertains to Amazon. And that's going to be around merchandising strategy and brand building. Specifically, what product categories and niches should folks be paying attention to, along with the powerful strategy of using Dropified's private label on-demand plan to explode into the Amazon marketplace, which I'm really excited for. Finally, it wouldn't be an e-commerce mastery episode if we did not have a secret. So we are going to be sharing, just for our listeners, the number one secret for identifying trending products and designs that customers want and are currently wanting to buy, and actually even are buying in some cases. So, and then at the very end, obviously, we're going to give away some amazing cool bonuses and gifts, as always. And then we're going to wrap up. Does that sound good, Fernando?
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm excited. Thanks, Mike.
Awesome, dude. All right, well, let's dive in, man. Tell us about your story. What has your journey looked like becoming an Amazon seller, and what helped you succeed, and what other ventures are you currently working on right now?
Oh man, yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, I mean, one of my best friends from college, Nick Young, we've always wanted to start a company together, and we both graduated from USC. We both kind of started in the corporate world for the first few years. And honestly, for me, at least, it was terrible. Like, I lasted a little bit over a year. Like, it was just like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And so we both actually ended at the same time quitting and then joining early stage tech startups. And we just knew that we wanted to start companies and kind of be business owners. And we figured, what what better way to learn how to start a company than, joining like a venture backed like tech startup. And it's a hot industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an amazing experience. We saw a company like rise to like, having raised, I don't even know, it was like over 10 million, like within a year, scaled to 80 employees, and then just crash and burn. And we're like, oh man, like this is fascinating. Like this is like the venture world. And so we both went off our separate ways. We ended up helping build 2 other like really successful companies. And then, he's one of my best friends. And so after a few years, we were just like, hey, I think it's time. We were still like in our like, I guess, mid-20s. And it's just like, okay, let's do this. And yeah, I mean, we kind of played around with different e-commerce ideas, like kind of messing around with Shopify for the first few months. And we just realized like, man, like conversion rates really, like it was really hard to convert. And we just didn't have like that much runway because we had quit our jobs and we're just like going all in. And yeah, I mean, basically we're working on his apartment one day and then we received this Amazon package. And at the time we're thinking about switching to sell on eBay. And then it just like we get this light bulb moment. It's like, wait, we order everything from Amazon. Like, why are we going to sell on eBay?
Right.
And yeah, like it makes no sense, right? And you kind of just, you always try to move like, where the puck is going. And so it's just like, oh my God, we need to sell on Amazon. And yeah, I mean, like next thing you know, we find a course online. We like crush through it within like a week.
Right.
And then we just like ditch our Shopify store and we're like, okay, we're going all in on Amazon. And it was just like the wildest experience. Like in the first month selling on Amazon, we did more than like the first, 4 or 5 months combined on Shopify. And then we just
when did you launch? What was your first month launch? Was it Q4 by chance or was it?
No, dude, it was March.
What? No way. Oh my
March
goodness.
Of 2015, we did 10K in revenue in our first month. Yeah. And we launched 4 products, all terrible products. Products that we never did. Like we knew nothing, like nothing. We were just like, okay, it has to be small. It's going to be home and kitchen, not breakable. We did a lot of those like, you've probably seen them. Like they're like the silicone ice cube trays.
Yeah,
and like
I have one.
Yeah, we have so we sent in, I don't know, 500 units of each. We did a bunch of different variations. We did the silicone barbecue gloves too.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those were pretty much crash and burn, but we saw that they actually sold through, which is crazy. And then you're just like, whoa, like it shows you so much the power of Amazon, like the conversion rate, like just like the amount of traffic that's there. And yeah, I mean, that was just like the beginning. And we're like, okay, we definitely like learned our lessons. Like these products are probably a little bit too commoditized, but like we know that like the future is really Amazon. And then so it was just a lot of like fine tuning and yeah, stuff from there.
Wow, man. And so you are now, I think it was a couple years ago that you hit the 1 million per month. So how you guys doing now? Like, did that die off like the 80 employee, $30 million venture, or are you guys killing it right now?
We're doing well. We've sold now over 80 million since inception. So it's been crazy. I mean, we've shifted a lot of our efforts now to working with clients, which has been really fun. So we work with a lot of like kind of best in class CPG companies, a lot in the consumable space to kind of help them with their Amazon presence. And but yeah, I mean, Amazon is still such an incredible like place to build wealth, I think, for entrepreneurs. And so, yeah, I mean, we're very, very bullish. We're still working on all this like fun, exciting stuff.
Totally. And that's, you know what, I think you said it there. It's this fun and exciting stuff because Amazon does not look today as it did maybe 4 years ago when you guys were kind of, seeing the first fruits of your labor. What have been some of the biggest learnings that you have seen or that you had to go through, maybe even this last couple years with Amazon?
Yeah, man, it's a great question. I mean, honestly, like Amazon changes so fast. And so you just have to really be like in it. I think one of the mistakes that we've definitely made is, I like to call it like entrepreneurial ADD, right? Like we like started like software companies, we have like the agency, we have all this stuff and it's really fun. Don't get me wrong. Like there's nothing more exciting than starting something. But I think especially in the Amazon space, like I just noticed like a lot of the people that we've coached over the years, we'll just take on tons of projects and it's like, okay, we do well on Amazon, let's say. And then, so it's like, okay, well, obviously we have the Midas touch. And so we can just basically do everything. And I think, over time, like you just realize like there's so many competing things for your time, and it allows you to not really do as well as if you really focused. And so I think that's like one of the biggest things for us recently is just like, how do we focus? How do we like really evaluate each opportunity before we even take it on, and just make sure that we're like going to be able to like commit like 110%. And so I think that's where we kind of like really enjoy working with the agency. We've met like so many cool entrepreneurs, and like and we learned so much from them as well. And so I think that is just like such a cool new way to take our kind of careers right now. And so yeah, I think like the big thing honestly is focus. Just like really being excited about what you're working on, and choosing really deliberately where you're going to work on, and then really focusing and thinking that kind of like longer time frame of like 3 to 5 years, which is often really challenging, but like such an important part, I think, to starting a business as well.
Yeah, totally. And I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like it's funny that some of the folks that, I mean, we chatted prior to the show, that I'm an Amazon seller as well. And that's actually one of my biggest challenges is I don't think 6 months in advance, and I hate thinking 6 months in advance because it's just not my gift. It's not my strategy. I mean, I love planning. Like if you're going to sit down and bring food, like lunch or something like that, then I'll probably pay attention to lunch and then pay attention to the board. But because that's the way I got to where my head's at. So I need to keep people around me that have that 6 month or a year strategy out, because I'm more of like the 1 to 2 week guy. And which is great when you're starting with Amazon, because there's a lot on that to-do list. And if you keep thinking 6 months and a year out and you're not paying attention to that task list, initially, it's brutal. But then once you get moving, I agree with you. You need to have folks, at least in your corner, if you suck at it like I do, that are able to kind of think that far in advance and say, hey, what are you doing now? Because if you don't do this now, you're going to be in trouble come Q4 when, everything kind of, goes nuts in Amazon, like we've seen here even this year. And so what are some of the changes here? I mean, I want to dive into some of the secrets here as well, but what are some of the changes for those that aren't in Amazon right now? And they're like, holy cow, like I'm seeing Amazon, sales go through the roof because the controlling market share of e-commerce is just skyrocketing. I think it's supposed to be hitting 5 trillion or close to 5 trillion at the end of 2021. And they're like, I want a piece of that. But I'm so scared to do that, because I'm hearing all these horror stories now of people that are selling on Amazon, and I just don't know. And I think that's so much. I mean, there's so much fear right now, around people just getting started with e-commerce, especially with Amazon. So what would, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but like the point here is, what is it that you would say to folks that are looking to actually get into Amazon? Why is it such a lucrative opportunity for them now versus maybe, a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. I mean, I think it's always a great time to get into Amazon. Like, you know what I mean? Like overall, like you mentioned, like COVID basically accelerated so much for e-commerce, but for overall businesses, right? Businesses that weren't ready for this kind of like digital virtual world got pummeled, right? And that kind of was accelerated. And same on the flip side, if you were, Zoom or Slack or, Amazon, like your growth also accelerated just because like that is like where things are going. And so I think if you just fundamentally believe like, yeah, e-commerce is the future, then today is like the best day to get into e-commerce. I like Amazon personally, just because, e-commerce is a challenging space, right? There's a lot of things to master between like, your product merchandising, between like the website, your support, your fulfillment, like, if you're importing from overseas, you have your like logistics and your supply chain. There's just a lot of things that you have to like figure out. And then on top of that, if you have your own website, it's like obviously like the website design, which we talked about, but like payment processing, all those things that you have to kind of like nail down. And Amazon like just kills like 70% of those for you. Like, you know what I mean? They take care of like a huge percentage of the customer support. They obviously can handle a lot of the fulfillment for you. Like the design, payment processing has already been tested, I'm sure, millions of times.
Mm.
And so it really only like makes you become like a master in a few things, right? It's like, how do you merchandise a product well? How do you like launch that product to the top? Your pay-per-click, and there's like the content aspect, your
Mm-hmm.
copy, your images. But like overall, like it allows you to focus on a few different pillars and become really great at those.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like Amazon has its platform risk and just constantly changing, but I definitely think that's like solvable. And yeah, I mean, I think Amazon is so early. I mean, even in the US, right? It's still early, but then you have like all these other marketplaces between Canada, Europe, like, Brazil, like Singapore, like they're really just taking over, like, e-commerce around the world. And so I think there's just so much opportunity overall.
No, and this is great. And you know what? I think it's like any new skill. It takes time, to learn. And one thing I would say, because I want to talk about those pillars that you just mentioned here, because there's definitely a lot beneath that about what those pillars look like. But one thing that I would say, even about Amazon, in my experience with going at Shopify or going to Amazon or WooCommerce or whatever platform you're thinking of selling on, is Amazon actually taught me a lot about business. And I had been, in business for a very long time prior to that, but I wasn't so much involved in like all the factors of business, like what bottom line was, what marketing strategies there would be, like all of it, right? And what's really cool is Amazon almost kind of teaches you, this is, think of it like a business plan without needing a business plan, right? Is it teaches you through the process of your sign-on, like this is what you need to get ready and to get done in order to succeed. And yet, I mean, if you look in their freaking resource library, it's just endless. Like it's just endless. Their blog forums are just crazy. Like it feels like there's answers to almost every question that's in there. And so anyone that's really kind of interested in kind of getting into a side hustle or flat out going into e-commerce, I mean, I'll tell you this, and we'll kind of maybe tie this topic off here, is there's two ways of thinking about e-commerce. You either going to go into pools of buyers, or you're going to go into a pool where there are buyers, but you have to find them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out, and you have to compete with the buyers, with just the people that are looking at content. And so people that are looking into Facebook and Google and native ads and influencers and things like that, you're competing not with other buyers, but you're competing with other purposes, right? Like I don't go into Amazon to, and I've said this before, but I don't go into Amazon to look at content, watch videos and blogs or post. I go into Amazon to shop. And so Amazon is a pool of shoppers. And so you are deciding when you come into Amazon and do a business with Amazon that you are there to bring value to their customers. But in doing so, they reward you with money, with bringing those customers to you, because it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I could not agree more. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Cool. So let's talk about these pillars. I would love for you to share with our audience, for those especially, that are working with Dropified already in like non-Amazon atmospheres and interested in jumping into Amazon because of these reasons. What are some of the basic steps that you take your clients through as an agency when you're looking at things like merchandising strategy and brand building? And I know it's pretty general, but I just want to kind of give you the floor and say, what do people need to be focused on when they're thinking about the types of merchandise they're bringing in and what those brands need to look like and how to actually build those brands?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. So, yeah, I mean, exactly what you're talking about, right? Like, are you trying to go find the customers, or are you going to find like where the customers are at and just trying to figure out how you're going to stand out? And so I think for that latter bucket, right, which is basically Amazon, is just thinking about like, what is the customer going to see when they search that like keyword, right? And so I don't know, let's say you're doing like, you had like the hair, skin, and gummies when we were talking about earlier, right? And then so you're going to see a bunch of listings there, I'm sure, with at least like several thousand reviews. And so thinking about like when that customer is going through like Amazon and really putting yourself in their shoes, like how are they going to find your product? Is it going to be specifically on that in that keyword, maybe hair, skin, and gummies? Are they going to be searching your brand? Are they going to be looking, maybe potentially for the problem? There's probably 1,000 ways to for them to come to your product, but like, how are you going to present this item so that they're going to choose yours over the guy that has maybe 1,000 reviews or 500 reviews? And so I think really thinking about that, because I honestly, it's not what we did in the beginning, right? We're selling the ice cube trays, and our ice cube tray is light blue, just like everybody else's. And it's, they have like, 5,000 reviews and ours had 50. And then, so it's just kind of, really spending that time to kind of like really think about it, potentially like all the guys there have like a mixed blend, let's say, ingredient list, right? And they're not really like transparent about what's in there. But maybe you can kind of come in specifically with something that's with everything kind of broken out so that the customer knows exactly like what's in the product.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something where you differentiate by having like, vegan, like the vegan kind of emblem, or organic, or something to that effect. Or maybe it's bundling. We talked about this also, is that you can do, bundling with another type of like beauty or like product, maybe a collagen, things that are just like very related, and you can often see in that frequently bought together on Amazon. But I think it's just like customers want to know, obviously they don't want buyer's remorse, so they want to know that they're getting a good deal, good offer. And so I think there's so many ways of just creating something a little bit different that will, you don't have to be like as innovative as let's say like a Kickstarter product. They're typically super like well differentiated and brand new, but just like thinking about it from the customer's point of view of like, why are they going to choose this item over everything else that's out there? And if you can just do something slightly different, then it'll work. And that's like the main thing that we just try to advise our clients on it, in terms of like the overall like just merchandising on the platform. But and then from that point, maybe you come up with a thesis like, okay, I think that organic is going to sell better than vegan. And then you can actually like test that using polls. And so you can use like PickFu, you can use like Mechanical Turk, like there's a bunch of tools out there. But we'll test like for our clients, like, hey, if we do let's say an organic at, let's say, product at $20, a vegan also at $20, but maybe like the regular version is maybe going to be at $18, and we'll run like 200 people through this and see what they click. And then that way you can kind of get a better understanding, like, okay, actually organic is more important than vegan. And then similar to like what we're talking about, like, is that you can also just test then your branding. You test your branding against like your competitors, and then basically just like before you even launch the product, you have a really good idea of like, hey, this is the best way to merchandise it, the best price point, and it's already tested better, like the main image, against my competitor. And then that's like a little bit of like the technology and strategies that we'll use.
Wow, that's super powerful. And for those of you that kind of missed that, or if that is just like over your head, this is what I heard. So tell me if I'm off here, Fernando. I don't think I am, because I think but tell me if I am. So what I just heard was this, is that for folks that are used to using maybe tools like ClickFunnels or other funnel builder, tools where they have the capability of split testing, different messages or different images or different, qualities of whatever it is that they're putting on their pages or on their products or on their whatever. You essentially are doing a similar strategy where you're split testing against very small differences, but small enough that they would make a big difference. But you're not testing like, one full different product versus another full different product. You're testing features, because what you're looking for is what's going to have the highest, like what are people actually clicking through and responding to the most. So that's really powerful. But the other side that I heard, and this is just for our folks, our audience here, that uses Dropified's private label on demand plan, where literally you can create unlimited brand designs. This is like to the tune of actually using something, coming back to the example of ClickFunnels, where on ClickFunnels, you can always change the title, you can always change an image, you can always change whatever. So like the flexibility of what you can test is crazy. But now transferring that over to Amazon, if you can maintain or have that level of flexibility in what you can change, and Fernando says, hey, Mike, I love your gummy. To be honest, I think that we probably would want to test X, Y, and Z. We're going to test whether it says vegan on the bottle, or whether we say vegetarian on the bottle, where we say organic on the bottle, where we say the flavors on the bottle, whether we have a woman or a man or a black woman or a white woman or a Hispanic woman, or vice versa for men. If we're going to involve kids, if we're going to have a bundle pack, with things like family, like more of a family pack where it's like kids multivitamins and, a gut vitamin and an adult multivitamin, we're going to just test this thing to figure out what the highest return will be on your clicks. And once I bring that to you, Mike, then you're going to create that. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to create, exactly, what is going to respond best. And then I need you to come up with these different label designs. And that's going to be your product line. And whereas in the past, you can't do that outside of with the things that you can't control. Typically with private label, you can't control the label design. You can't control what's already been created and has lifestyle images on it. You just can't control that. All you could control normally is, the listing or the keywords that are in your listing or your description, like pretty much anything that was editable, which is just the text, or maybe even what images you put in there to help dress up your listing. So just to kind of tie this thing up, what it sounds like you can do is using the power of Dropified's, endless ability to put these custom labels on, you can actually have the advantage that so many people don't have in Amazon using these techniques and using agencies like Marketplace Ops or Fernando in this strategy to really understand. I don't care if you have 0 reviews, to really understand why are people clicking the 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 review products, and what can you do to really stand out above these folks. And this is before you even ask people to come in and do your launch strategies and whatever else. But this is just to say, this is the highest return rate based off of what the data is doing. And that's exactly how you destroy in Amazon, is because the data actually doesn't lie. This isn't up for interpretation. This is literally what people clicked. This is literally what people typed in. This is literally the choice that they made. And you're making data-driven decisions, which is way better than gut-based decisions, which is kind of what I think what a lot of startup entrepreneurs kind of base their stuff off of is, well, when I look on Pinterest on the flower section, I see this. Well, obviously, because that's all you're looking, right? You're not, and again, it's this, Amazon's way different than Pinterest. It's way different than Facebook, way different than Google. It's an ecosystem of buyers. I don't know, am I off on this, or I just want to make sure I'm not misleading anybody.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally right. I think what Dropified does is it gives you the ability to customize, which is amazing. And so that means that you can do a lot of testing and then basically create the right product around it. And you can do like the shotgun approach where you just create like 1,000 listings and then just hope for the best, which I don't think is necessarily a bad strategy. But I think I guess maybe it's easier if I just explain like how I would do it, is just knowing that like I have Dropified, which like basically allows me to like really customize the product offering. Then I can run a bunch of different tests, and then maybe instead of doing 1,000, I'm going to do 10. But these 10 I've already really tested against the competitors, and so I'm going to spend more time and effort on those 10. And then I know that they've already like tested through. I know that organic is better than vegan. I've already tested the price points. I've already tested my labels against like my competitors, and so I am willing to spend more on that launch and more time on each of these. And I think that customization is great, especially with low MOQs. That I don't have to necessarily because we typically order 5,000 to 10,000 bottles just to start. And so I think that's where you're really coming in with a cool advantage.
Hi there, Ecom Masters. Mike Weiss here again with a friendly reminder that you've unlocked access to our exclusive podcast-only training on how to create your own supplement, CBD, pet, or skincare brand in just minutes, where we're going to break down from A to Z exactly how to put your own design on top-selling products and start selling in just minutes. It's incredible. Now, the principles that you're going to learn are exactly the same principles that we've used with our customers who did over $2 billion. That's right, with a B, $2 billion in sales last year alone. You cannot afford not to take me up on this free training. So to get immediate 100% complimentary access, all you got to do is go to Dropified.com/podcast-special, or you can just click the link below in the show notes. I will see you soon. So we've talked about this amazing strategy, which I just, oh, guys, if you missed that, you need to seriously put away your stupid devices and you need to get the kids some food. You need to just, turn off the music, turn off the Netflix, and you need to pause this thing, rewind, get a piece of paper and a pen, and you need to seriously be paying attention to the fact, because I'm telling you right now, there is so much advantage to Dropified, but there is a huge advantage. I didn't even know this. Actually, and it's funny, Fernando and I, we've been chatting beforehand. I didn't even know that you could do these testing components. I honestly was just doing my own research, but to hire an agency that can give me exactly what I need and to be able to give it back to him and say, dude, I think this is going to kill. Then you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing, which is just plugging money into PPC and then your other launch strategies that you're going to be putting in. But to actually know exactly, it's like, put it this way, I love this, is if I'm off by 1 degree, well, if I keep going down that path, I'm going to be so far away from my goal, and it was all because of the initial degree that I went off at the very beginning. I would much rather measure 75,000 times to make sure I'm not off by that 1 degree, because I know I'm not in this just for the short, 1 foot line. I'm in this for the next 10 years. And I would hate in 5 years from now, if I cut over and be like, shoot, that was a giant waste of time. And instead to be able to just get on the right track. And it sounds like that's exactly what you bring your customers. And I can totally understand why you are super, super excited, and that why you love doing what you do, because this is pretty cool stuff, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So let me ask, what are some of the major struggles that your customers, before they come to you, are seeing maybe on Amazon that you're able to help them really, outside of the testing that we talked about, but what are some other major struggles that your customers see before they want to come see you, that they don't have answers for, that you help them with?
Yeah. I would say, honestly, it's one of those things you don't know what you don't know. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like we generally understand like the concepts of Shopify, but we're not, multi-million-dollar sellers on like Shopify, 8-figure sellers on Shopify. And so like, I know that if I want to like do it seriously, I need to hire someone that's like already scaled to the size where I want to be. And I think it's the same concept, for Amazon. It's just like a lot of the customers that come to us, they just like, hey, like we're good at D2C, or we're good at Shopify, but like Amazon is just, it moves really fast. Like, our listings are getting suspended, or like, we're just facing these challenges, and we know that we're doing well. But like, if we work with an agency like you guys can add kind of gas to the fire and help us get to where we want to be. And that's typically where a lot of the agencies come in. Like a lot of them, they have a lot of branded search, which is great. And so a lot of their sales are coming from their own specific like branding search on Amazon, but they realize like, hey, like unbranded search is way bigger on Amazon, and they're not basically leveraging that. And so we'll come up with the strategy and help them execute getting ranked on all those unbranded keywords, which is obviously like the massive, that's why you came to Amazon to sell anyways. And so I think that's like the big thing that we'll do, is basically helping them, optimize all the low hanging fruit. I think that's kind of like the main thing, or like the first 30 days. But and then it's just overall like helping them rank on unbranded keywords, helping them a lot of the time with forecasting. And that's like a big thing, and just kind of navigating the Amazon environment at this point. Because, we talked about this a little bit earlier with Q4, it's crazy when you got your IPI limits, and like, there's just so much to the game. And so because we're in it, like living and breathing it every single day, the brands that we work with just know that they're in good hands, and that, that overall, like there's a very clear plan to get them to hit their goals.
No, that's great, man. And I love that. There's a couple more things here that I know our audience usually asks me, because I've been, I've been kind of helping pioneer this whole entry into Amazon using Dropified. But for those Amazon sellers that don't know what we're doing, again, I'm not going to do big pitches or anything like that. But if there's been a big struggle, and I just think we can talk generally about the topic here, but there's been a huge struggle, especially in Q4, around folks being limited in a couple different areas on Amazon. So one area being on how many products you can bring in or ship in at the exact same time. So that 200, the 200 unit limit, which really is laughable, because if you're not selling 200 units a day in Q4, then again, utilize service like yours that can really help you get there. depending on the unit, obviously, or the type of product. So being able only to order in 200 units is a real challenge, because you can't inventory plan with 200 units. Like, what are you going to do? Do a shipment every single day, bring in much higher volumes and put them in third-party warehouses and bring in, and then you still have to wait 5 to 10 days sometimes for Amazon to clear it. And anyway, it's a real pain in the butt, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that people are struggling with. The other thing that folks are struggling with, it sounds like, is this concept of gated categories. So categories that used to be ungated or didn't require gating. So, things like toys, or, I guess dietary supplements has been a gated category for a while, but there's just a lot more limitations, not limitations. There's a lot more, let's just say, doors that you have to get through in order to sell in specific categories that typically do hire in their individual marketplaces. So these are some strategies. Now, here's my question is for those Amazon sellers that are struggling in one of these two areas, what strategy would you give them to add quality private label products so that they don't have to maybe deal with these limitations, or maybe there's a smarter way of getting around these limitations around, inventory in Amazon because of the shipping, or, around, being ungated in categories, especially with low inventory?
Yeah, honestly, I think you have to kind of create, okay, so one, there are hacks right now to get around like the shipping threshold, like the 200 limit. So you could just create a bunch of shipping plans all at the same time. That is quickly getting blocked. I think I saw something like a few days ago that it's already been like hacked. There's still. I
tried it and got shut down, so I can tell you. Yeah.
And you're running risks. There's other creative things, but again, like, I don't want to get people in trouble. Plus, even by the time this releases, it could be like that loophole could be closed.
Yeah.
I think, like you mentioned, you just have to set up like a contingency plan. Like FBM is a great thing. Like, I know you guys offer that. That's like a great solution. Like that I think is important. Especially right now, just, you don't know if your delivery windows are going to get pushed out with FBA. So I think having that contingency plan is really big, especially in Q4. But yeah, besides that, like, the other, like, I guess you wouldn't get in too much trouble is you could have friends send in units for you.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you necessarily you should do it, but like, it's definitely doable. If you have friends in the Amazon space, and then they might be able to do it, especially during depending on their limits. But yeah, overall, it's a very like challenging thing to solve, and I would say FBM is probably the best way to do it right now.
No, you know what? I actually would agree with that, because using the example that I had used earlier, if you're in a situation where you have lots of inventory, it's just you can't bring it into Amazon. So FBA, for those of you that don't understand, but FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. It means that you're actually trying to get your units into Amazon's warehouses so that they can take care of the fulfillment and shipping for you, which is a very hands-off type approach. And so if you can't get enough inventory in at once, so that 200 units, again, you can try hacks. And again, people do it all the time. And it usually takes about Amazon 2 or 3 months before they kind of pick up what happened, at which point, hopefully all your inventory is gone. And that's what we did last year. And we got out unscathed. However, this year, maybe they caught up with us and they said, forget you guys. But who knows? But FBM means is fulfilled by merchant. It's another way that you can actually sell on Amazon. So get access to this giant pool, this ecosystem of buyers, where you're saying, hey, I can actually create a listing without having to send inventory into Amazon's warehouse. And I think that's a misconception for folks, is they think the only way to sell on Amazon is by buying lots of inventory and putting it into Amazon's warehouse. And that's just not the case. There is a strategy called FBM, where you can actually put listings on Amazon, similar to what you could do to like Walmart or eBay or things like that. You can put listings on Amazon, and just, it means that when if someone buys from you, then you are going to be responsible for the shipping and fulfillment. Now, what, Fernando, generously had said is, yeah, Dropified is something that offers FBM, because especially on the private label on demand side, we're the ones controlling all the shipping, fulfillment, and tracking information and giving it back to you, which if you have FBM through Amazon, you're able to have that actually link right into Amazon, which is exactly what they want. So not only do you you don't have to worry about the shipping, but you're able to actually get your listings onto Amazon without having to put any upfront inventory into Amazon or even into your own warehouses. And so if you're interested in that, again, there's going to be more information coming at the end of the show, as well as you can see on the link below on some challenges that we have. But for all of you that aren't on Dropified and you do have your own warehouses, strongly, like, I mean, keep your thumb on the pulse of Amazon on what's going on, because like Fernando said, it changes so often that, and those are not emails that you want to miss or that you want going into your junk box, and then figuring out what happened that you forgot to read that 2 months ago, 2 months too late. So keep a thumb on there. But if your stuff is in another warehouse or even in your house or something like that, if you have just products sitting there, don't just be, shackled to FBA. Open up an FBM listing, create the opportunities to start, shipping this stuff out by yourself. And then again, you can continue utilizing, Amazon's FBA services, and you continue bringing in units there. But again, it's just as easy for you to create a USPS or UPS account where they're automatically picking up stuff from you every single day if you have high enough orders. So there are ways around this so that people don't feel like, oh, my life is over. It's not over. You just got to get creative. You just got to wake up. You got to get a couple, cups of coffee and 2 giant bottles of water and just say, okay, I'm not giving up, and let's go. And there are people out there that, like Fernando, that can kind of help you go there. And it's pretty cool stuff. So anyway, guys, we've asked Fernando to give you guys what, again, this is down to our secret portion, the number one secret for identifying trending products and designs that customers not only want, but are buying and proven buying from data, which is the number one way of actually operating with Amazon. But before we reveal that, we did want to remind you about a couple amazing bonus offers and gifts. And I want to give Fernando a chance to talk about Marketplace Ops for any of our existing users that are interested in getting into Amazon and they're willing to go through the steps that I have on other videos that I do. But they're just looking, like Fernando said, just to hire someone so that they can get their degree back on track and not waste a lot of time. So we're going to talk about that. But the first bonus offer, again, for everyone that's listening, Dropified is going to be opening up. There's this amazing 5-day challenge. So if you are struggling with trying to find that perfect product or the perfect design, for only $55, what we're doing is opening up a 5-day challenge, which starts December 2nd, 2020. It's our first 5-day challenge. We're going to continue rolling it out as we go from there. But the first 5-day challenge is live. Just 77 minutes a day for 5 days. We're going to be opening up the Golden Goose Challenge. You'll see that button, click below. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So the key topics we're going to be covering in there is how to identify your perfect product, how to launch with your own brand, and what are 6 ways that you can sell this with 0 ad costs. And so this is going to be outside of Amazon, but I'm going to tell you why this is super, super important. I need you to actually listen to this now, okay? Whatever you do externally from Amazon, if you drive that traffic to Amazon, Amazon likes that, okay? They like that. It helps increase organic results, which helps you get to page, what number, Fernando? Page 11, page 10, page 9? What page?
1.
Okay, so take what we're teaching you here. If you want to apply it externally from Amazon, go for it. I'm not going to be judging you. I'm just telling you, these are strategies that so many sellers on Amazon do not utilize to help them organically get to page 1. Instead, they pay PPC, they outbid on keywords, and that's their only strategy for coming in. And I'm telling you, they're missing out on a huge opportunity to especially do it with 0 ad costs. So if you're interested in that, getting your own product, your own brand, and 6 ways that you can sell this thing with 0 advertising costs that can also help you skyrocket your Amazon sales by getting you organically to page 1, you need to click the button below. Starts December 2nd, 2020. Obviously, that's going to be in a couple days here for those that are paying attention to this right now. But if you're just watching this and we're in the middle of the challenge, it's okay. Just jump in. You can jump in, be a part of the 5-day challenge. So $55. And yeah, so feel free to click the button below. And then it's a really, really amazing thing. Matt Schmidt's going to be hosting the whole thing. And it's really, really incredible stuff. So now that is my last point for Dropified. Fernando, tell us about Marketplace Ops and how people can continue their journey with you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can always reach out. Yeah, I mean, you can just shoot me an email at Fernando@Marketplace Ops, and happy to like kind of walk you through kind of a little bit about our services. And yeah, would love to learn about your guys' businesses and just see if we can be helpful. And yeah, overall, just supercharge your Amazon presence and being as a trusted partner to basically help you hit your goals.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, man. I feel like I just talk way more than you, and I feel bad about that right now because this episode was about you. And
no, man, it's all good. It's all good. I'm loving this. You got you should be a hype man, man. This is great.
Awesome. Well, I mean, the only thing that's missing is me ripping my shirt, but I'm not going to do that on this episode because it's my last shirt. And next time, yeah. I'm waiting for my order. I'm waiting for my Amazon order right now on more shirts, but no. All right, guys. Last point. I've been hanging on to your attention for so long, and I love the fact you're still with us. So the last point, the number one secret for identifying trending products and designs that customers want, and you know that because they are buying something with similar products or similar designs, and it's proven by data. What is the number one secret, Fernando, that we can leave with our audience today for identifying these trending products and designs?
Yeah, I would say that on Amazon, it's easy to like harness what customers are already searching for and finding that demand and then providing them an offer. It is not easy to create demand for something that doesn't have demand. And so I think one of the best tools that people probably don't leverage enough is brand analytics. And so if you're like, hey, I need to see how many people are searching for, vitamin C gummies, you can search that in brand analytics, and then boom, it's going to give you a search frequency rank that's going to tell you out of all the keywords in Amazon, this is ranked 50,000 or 20,000 or whatever that might be. But then you can kind of use that to help you ballpark like how big of a keyword is, the breadth of all those keywords. But if you're telling me like, I want this like, rare algae supplement that from like the coast of whatever, like
that you rub on your ears. That you rub on your ears, yeah.
For this like super rare use case, and I'm gonna bring this to market, and I'm like, and then who knows, maybe it's in brand analytics. But if it's not, like it's gonna be really hard. Amazon is not the platform. It's people aren't already searching for. It's just like Google. And so I would say really taking a look at like, is there demand for your product before like, investing 5, 10, 20 grand in inventory is a really, really important part of that research step that I don't think people talk about enough. And so, yeah, I think that's like the main thing that I would like leave people with is don't try to create demand on Amazon, but try to find something that's a little bit underserved and offer something better.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much, man. That's really, really fantastic. And especially for our folks that do use the private label on demand plan, that don't have to invest $10,000 or $20,000 up front in inventory costs. This is a great opportunity for you to really, really dive in and figure out exactly what Fernando said. Where are the underserved areas? One way we've talked about in the past is the untapped niches, but I think I'm going to just steal that from you, is the underserved markets, because you can definitely create products that are extremely tailored, at least on a design and messaging standpoint, to that customer. And they're going to feel like it's just for them, that they were heard. And it's going to bring value to Amazon because it's Amazon's client, and it's going to be value to you because you're going to be making a truckload of money, which is great. Guys, thank you so much. As we kind of wrap up, I just want to thank Fernando for joining us today. Man, it has been such a pleasure. I love the strategy. I love the secrets. And I feel like, guys, there's so much gold in just, in the points that were made today. And seriously, I would encourage you to rewatch this thing over and over and over again. Maybe Fernando's points, because you're probably sick and tired of my voice already. But but man, this has just been such a pleasure. I really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for everyone who is tuning with us today, who listened to this episode, whether it was before December 2nd or well afterwards. Just really appreciate your time and your attention. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. And I invite you to join us on the next episode. Fernando, thank you again for being a part of our show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care, guys. Hello again, Ecom Masters. Mike was here again with a big thank you for sticking with us to the end of this episode. I know how valuable your time is, and I want to congratulate you for setting yourself apart from the pack by investing your attention into this podcast. Now, make sure to maximize this time by taking notes while it's still fresh, listening to the episode multiple times if you need to, and implementing what you have learned right away into your own business. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more training and want to learn the step-by-step methodology that you need to build the e-com business of your dreams, I want you to join me for an exclusive invite-only training that I'm only giving specifically for podcast listeners. Now, in it, we're going to share the secrets of what we've used to scale Dropified into the 2019 5,000 number 55 fastest growing company in America. You will not find this information anywhere else, guaranteed. To get immediate 100% free access, all you got to do is go to dropified.com/podcast-special, or just click the link below and in the show notes, and I will see you on the other side.